Mr. Secretary, I want to refer to something that Speaker Pelosi referenced, and that was the comment from Republican Senator Ben Sasse that this governing by executive action is, his words, unconstitutional slop. What makes you think that spending over $100 billion that Congress has not appropriated for these specific purposes is legal? And what happens if there's a court suit and all of the actions that the president took yesterday are blocked by a federal court?
Well, Chris, let me just say we've cleared with the Office of Legal Counsel all these actions before they went to the president. The president knew unemployment insurance was ending. He said, let's continue at $400. By the way, the 25% from the states, they can either take that out of the money we've already given them, or the president can waive that. We've been told by the states they can get this up and running immediately. And I would say if the Democrats want to challenge us in court and hold up unemployment benefits to those hardworking Americans that are out of a job because of COVID, they're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
As we say, you have cut the federal unemployment benefit from $600 to $400, $300 from the feds. $100, this is a week, $100 from states, but you say a lot of that would come from federal money they've already received. Do you really think that the hundreds of millions that the millions of families that lost jobs because of the virus don't need that money, that they don't need the extra $200 a week?
Chris, let me be clear. First of all, on the 25%, that's coming from money we already gave the states. So this is effectively 100% paid for by the federal government. Let me also remind you that Obama, during the financial crisis, paid a $25 top-up. So this has never been done in the history of time. We thought $400 was a fair compromise, but let me just also say, we offered to continue to pay $600 while we negotiate, and the Democrats turned that down. So the president
that was only for 1 week. That was only for 1 week.
Actually, Chris, we extended it to 2 weeks, but they made perfectly clear they're not going to agree on a piecemeal deal. They want to hold up the American public from getting the money they need until they get everything they want, which is just a bad outcome, as I said.
This is Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin on Trump's unilateral decision to try and provide relief to Americans without the approval of Congress. Now, let me just say, first and foremost, that he can't. Trump does not control taxation in this country. Congress does. I know he doesn't think that the law applies to him, but him holding a mini rally at one of his golf resorts and decreeing that he's changing tax law doesn't actually change tax law. The reason he's doing this, by the way, is obvious. He's just trying to make himself out to look like a white knight while Congress is negotiating over the next bill. And so instead of letting that legal process play out, Trump decided to play king and issue an unenforceable executive order where he endows himself with the powers of Congress. He's relying on the fact that A, most people don't know that Trump doesn't have the power he just handed himself, and B, that the mainstream media will just repeat Trump's claims without acknowledging that what he's doing isn't even constitutional. And that's what Trump wants. He knows that it's not constitutional, he knows his executive orders won't ever pass, but he also knows that he'll get the exact headlines he's looking for. This isn't about helping people, it's about garnering good press for himself. And to no one's surprise, that's exactly what the media gave him. But worse is that Mnuchin claims that if Democrats want to challenge this in court and hold up the unemployment benefits, that they'll have a lot of explaining to do. Meaning that if Democrats dare challenge something that is not legal, that's a risk for them. Right. How about don't break the law and try to usurp power, and then there won't be a reason to go to the courts? How about Republicans start doing their jobs in Congress instead of backing Trump up for committing blatantly unconstitutional acts, and we won't need to waste time litigating something that everyone knows isn't going to go in Trump's favor anyway? What court in the United States of America is going to stand behind a president trying to overtake control of spending, a power afforded to Congress in the Constitution? Zero. But of course that isn't stopping Trump or Mnuchin from pretending that the Democrats are the ones in the wrong here. And finally, I do want to give Chris Wallace credit here because he rightly acknowledges that even despite Trump's illegal power grab, even despite the fact that these executive orders are completely unenforceable, there's still a cut to unemployment benefits, from $600 a week down to $400 a week. Imagine thinking that in the middle of a pandemic and a recession, both of which continue to last because of this administration, that this is when we should be cutting aid to the American people. that this is when we should be giving less help to Americans struggling to make ends meet. So not only is it bad enough that these problems persist because this administration never bothered to get the outbreak under control, but now Americans are getting less assistance because the White House has arbitrarily decided that enough time has passed, and so now we'll strip benefits away from the American people. How Trump thinks that he can spin that as generous or a win is beyond me. Mnuchin even says that Obama only paid $25 to Americans during the financial crisis. But A, Obama isn't president, and so instead of crying and pointing to the last guy, the White House should try, I don't know, taking responsibility for their own actions and worrying about what's happening right now. And B, this isn't even the same as the financial crisis. This is worse. We hit 14.7% unemployment. We lost 20 million jobs. There is no precedent for that in modern American history. And the financial crisis of 2008 that was started by the last Republican administration certainly doesn't come close. So instead of trying to pass the buck onto Obama, Mnuchin might want to recognize that whining about something that happened 12 years ago has no connection to what's happening right now. The fact is that what the American people need right now is not unconstitutional power grabs, it's not austerity measures, and it's not watching as Trump tries to make himself out to be a hero, it's relief. They need the government to step up and make sure that people are not hurting even more as the result of the White House's failure to act on this pandemic. And that's not at all what we're getting from this administration. And don't forget to listen to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I'll take a deep dive into the biggest issues of the week and interview major players in the world of politics, like Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Beto O'Rourke, Eric Swalwell, Katie Porter, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.